All right, let me know when we're streaming
All
so
right.
that you
Oh,
can watch us.
well,
I told your mom.
we're
Oh,
in
are you
streaming
streaming?
now. Yeah, we are. Anyway,
Okay. Hi.
welcome everyone to Books, Buddies, and Blanks, the book club podcast for the people who want to read but also feel like they just don't have the time, and where you get points just for trying. We're your host, Theresa.
And I'm Maggie, and on today's episode of Books, Buddies, and Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, we have a very magical homecoming for Odysseus and
Yeah,
his son, Telemachus.
yeah. Odysseus finally gets home. Like the whole bit is here. He's home finally.
This
The
is going to be an
Odyssey.
interesting episode because,
Yeah.
I read half of what we were supposed to read for last time we were meeting, so
Mhm.
2 weeks ago, and
Yeah.
then I read the other half today. So half of it is fresh in my memory, and the other half I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
let's read my
Yeah.
notes.
I read the first part of it again like a while back, and then the second half I read earlier this week. So it's like definitely much fresher. Um, and I was going back through my notes, and I was like, I don't remember any of what happened here. I don't know what was happening. But let's go ahead. Let's get into it. So we're gonna start with chapter 13. For me, it's titled Ithaca at Last.
Oh, mine is One More Strange Island.
Yeah. See, mine gives the plot away immediately. It's like, hey, we did it. We did
Yeah, I
it.
think that's the main. That's I don't really like your translation, and that's one of the main reasons.
So rude. I like most of the chapter titles. Um, I think this one's interesting simply because of how many times people say Ithaca at last in the actual text. So it's probably more of a like people say it
I
a
don't
lot.
actually have a lot of people saying Ithaca at last.
I do in my translation, which is probably why that's the title of the chapter. It's because it's a translational
That
thing.
that would that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, Also, and I mentioned this before we started streaming,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that half the book actually takes place on Ithaca.
Yeah.
Like, I expected Odysseus's journey,
His
you know,
Odyssey.
his Odyssey, if you will.
Yeah.
That still makes me laugh. Um, to like take up most of the book,
You would think.
and that's not the case. Because the
No.
first 4 chapters are following Telemachus.
Yeah.
And then only like a third of the book, maybe, like maybe a little over a third, is Odysseus like finally washing up and, going to the Phaeacians.
Phaeacians, yeah.
Goodness gracious. I keep messing that up because of how it's
Yeah.
spelled in mine. And then he tells them his story, and then they help him get home. But
Mhm.
like, it doesn't actually take up most of the book, and I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah. For me, like again, I read it abridged, and so like the most memorable parts for me were like again him recounting like the big parts of his journey,
Yeah, and
Scylla
that's
and all of
not
that.
even the big picture of the book.
No. But like also the ending, like
I feel like this was mismarketed.
it's like instead of
It's
it
his
being like
fault.
the Odyssey, it should just be like Odysseus getting home and then wrecking house. Because I feel like this is all being led up to like him taking out the suitors. Like that's
Yeah,
like the big part. That's like the
it's
climax of the
exactly how it's
story.
been. It is. I
Yeah.
completely agree with you. And like the actual journey, it's like I know the journey part because
Mhm.
that's like what we hear about most in like a lot of pop culture references.
Yeah.
And so like that's where I had my expectations from.
Yeah.
And my expectations were not met.
No, like
But
most
were.
of the actual Odyssey, like his journey is told in like hindsight through
It is.
story.
It is.
And so it's kind of loses its like, okay. I'll take your word for it, Odysseus, king of liars. Like, he
He's
tells,
known for his scheming. He's known for his scheming.
yeah, and
But like,
he told so many lies in these upcoming chapters we're about to discuss, and so like I'm kind of like, well, what do we take at face value here?
now it's because of how much he lies. He is like, now he's an unreliable narrator.
Right? I'm like, you're a little embellishing, aren't you? I don't
But
know.
to be fair,
Yeah.
I do think he painted himself in a poor enough light
He did.
that probably it was true.
It's probably somewhat true what he's telling. It's like, yeah, I fucked up. But who knows?
It's just like now, but like it's true. Now you can't trust them.
Speaking of
Oh
embellishing, though,
my mom, I was talking to my mom, and there's a Nietzsche quote
oh,
that we were referencing. It was 1 second about. It was oh gosh. Something along the lines of, it's not so much that the lie that hurts, it's that I can't trust you again.
yeah, no, that's really what it is. Like, it's usually a break of trust and a loss of trust in that you no longer feel like secure or safe with that person, and that's hard to come back from.
Also, Odysseus is enough of an ass that I've never really trusted him.
Oh no, God, no, I would not trust this man. But just speaking of embellishments, I just do love this one last little mention of Demodocus in chapter 13, where in my translation it says, Demodocus, prized by all people, and I'm like, such a cool guy. I see you, Homer. I see you. Let me think. There's not much. I don't have many notes.
Do you want to recap One More Strange Island, or do you? I mean, do you want to give the bullet points?
I can give the bullet points.
He gets to Ithaca. That's
He
the main one.
does. So the Phaeacians are like, hey, here's a boat, and then they're like, hey, you've had a rough journey. Why don't you just go take a little nippy nap, and then you'll be home. And what I think is really funny about that is that they quite literally, like, he takes a nice nap, but he finally has the safe, uneventful journey, but then they just like pick him up and drop him on the island and leave while he's still sleeping. And I'm like, it's kind of rude. So he doesn't know he's home, and so he wakes up and he's like, where am I? Is this another terrible, horrible place where everyone's gonna be a jerk to me? And he's all like, woe is me, sad baby. And then
also like where they dropped him off is like a part of the islands that he didn't recognize.
Yeah, they're like kind of off the beaten path.
Off the beaten path, it was like a hard to access points, especially from the ocean.
Yeah.
The Phaeacians, as we remember, are from the magical island of Scheria.
Yeah.
That is not on the map.
Very not real.
And the fact that it took them a day or one night, more like, for them to drop him off on Ithaca, kind of implies that it's very close.
Yeah.
But like also, magical islands and God-gifted seafaring people.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
There's no concept of there really is like no concept of distance and time it takes to get from one place to another in this book. But I have completely lost all bearings for that.
So, but then it gets a little sad because then he's home, he's good, and then Poseidon notices this. He's like, "Oh my God, wait, Zeus, you said I could take him out." And Zeus is pretty much like, "Stop being a little bitch and do something about it, because I'm not doing it for you. I'm not your dad. You deal with your own shit." And so he says, "Well, I can't get to Odysseus now. He's on land. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna destroy the Phaeacian ships, because I'm a pissy child." And he does, which like. to punish them for their hospitality. Not cool, guys. You're
And then the
switching it up.
Phaeacians, but then like also the Phaeacians were like, oh yeah, we were warned. It's the prophecy
Which,
again.
oh my god, why do these people only remember these big important prophecies as they're happening? Why does no one like remember this shit before it's too late?
It's not the best movie, but it's cute enough. Set It Up on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
And the girl's like, oh, sorry, I'm late. I was digging around. It's like, you got here 4 hours earlier than I did? How are you still late?
Yeah.
It's like, you ever get there early and then just like totally lose track of time?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about this. It's like, they like probably got this a long while ago, kind of lost track of time, doing their thing. And then it's like, oh yeah.
All right. Yeah. Oops. Yeah, I also think it's funny that their whole prophecy was that Poseidon is like he hates us because he ain't us. Like his whole bit is that like the Poseidon hates the Phaeacians because they're cooler than him. It's so
okay,
funny.
1 second. God, where are my notes? He is where was I going with this? Sorry, I'm like rereading a little bit because it's been a while.
Yeah, I'm coming up with these bullet points as I'm like quickly skimming. But while you're looking for your note, I'm just gonna keep going through. Odysseus wakes up. But before he does, Athena bippity boppy boos him to make him look like an old beggar, so that no one will recognize him until it's too late. And then Odysseus is all like, "Oh no, where am I?" And then she shows up. Athena shows up, but as a and I quote, "a shepherd boy, yet elegant too," whatever that means.
No, I have. Okay, so I have a shepherd like a king's son.
I know, it's just...
I thought that was particularly important.
Yeah.
Because it's another biblical thing.
Yeah.
Where, shepherd, king's son, kind of a thing.
Yeah, my direct translation here.
I think that's why I also hate Paris. That's another reason why I hate Paris.
He was a pretty shepherd boy. He was that.
He was a disgrace.
He was.
He was an absolute disgrace.
Mine is, but Athena appeared and came towards him. She looked like a young man, a shepherd boy, yet elegant too, with all the gifts that grace the son of kings. So yeah, he's like, she looks like a hot young shepherd boy man that might also be rich. So I've added that to the list of Athena's disguises.
I got to the part. You know why I had a hard time? I'm so sorry about my dog. He's
I don't hear him.
And like I can. I feel like you can. Because I can, I feel like you can. You know why I had a hard time finding this spot? The only note I read was, dude, seriously, what the fuck?
About what? What are you upset about?
It was Poseidon.
Oh yeah, dude, get over yourself. I just wrote, stop being a whiny little bitch.
Well, Zeus was kind of trying to be a little sneaky about it.
He was,
no one told Poseidon until the mission was over.
Yeah.
So, Zeus is trying to be a little bit...
Well, that's Zeus. Zeus sucks. That's like par for the course.
It's very in character for him.
It is very in character for him. But yeah, so Athena shows up as a princely shepherd and pretty much lets Odysseus know that he's in Ithaca. And he kind of clocks her too. He's kind of like, that's Athena. And so But like,
I also just really liked the cave description that they
yeah,
dumped
I just
Odysseus in.
yes,
The cave itself, the description itself, I just wrote love the imagery.
yeah, no, it was really cool. I also think it's funny that like even though she knows it's Odysseus, duh, and he knows it's her, but then when she, as a shepherd, asks who he is, he comes up with this like detailed, elaborate cover story, and I'm like, why?
Actually, it is a gift that I don't really have to be able to lie and come up with a convincing lie on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a terrible liar. I can keep a secret, but I am a terrible liar.
Yeah.
I can lie
Um,
by omitting. That's it.
fair enough. But then like the whole bit is like, he's like, haha, I got you. I know it's you, Athena. And then she's like, ah, you got me. Also, there's a
I
pirate
think I
treasure.
wrote for LOL, who are you fooling?
Right, I just wrote, when it says, Odysseus is like, the shapes you take are endless. I'm like, oh my god. She just likes to switch her outfits up all the time. I get it. I get it. Um,
Well, you gotta butter up the gods, Theresa.
yeah. But then he gets a
She's
pirate treasure,
been
which is
helping
super
him this
cool.
entire time. She's been helping him this entire time.
She
He
has
better
been.
be.
She has been. He's like, yep, that's you. But yeah, she's like, hey, I'll tell you where this pirate treasure is, and then he goes and gets it, and then she's like, all right, now we need to
Wait,
get
what?
revenge.
Pirate treasure.
I call it pirate treasure. It's like all of his gifts from the Phoenicians that are just like off to the side somewhere in the cave.
Oh, I was like, what?
It looks like a pirate treasure. Because she was hiding it. She hid it so that no one else would like
Yeah.
come and take it. So she goes, "Here's your treasure," and he's in a cave. And I was just like, huh, "Pirate treasure."
Also,
Um,
I didn't realize that it's the suitors are there for 3 years.
yeah,
I thought it was longer.
no, they hadn't been there that long. But they are destroying
Well, 3 years
Ithaca.
is still a pretty long time.
I know the fact that they've done that much damage in 3 years is like impressive and
Dude,
sad.
okay, this isn't in this chapter, but in one of the later chapters, it lists how many suitors there were.
Mm-hmm.
How is there, like, how big? It speaks to Ithaca and
Mm-hmm.
Odysseus that essentially a not even a small army, an army of men are
Yeah,
at this woman's doorstep in her house,
trying to get her to
feasting,
marry him.
essentially feasting
Yeah,
every day
every
off of the
day.
spoils of this island for 3
3 years.
years.
I haven't got a
Do
3-year-long
you know
Mardi
how
Gras.
rich? Do you know how rich and bountiful you have to be for
God.
that to happen?
Well, hey, Odysseus is that guy. He got the monies, unfortunately.
Well, it's not just the money;
I
it's
know,
the
but the
livestock
livestock
and the
that
grain and the
yeah.
farming. Like,
Mm-hmm.
jeez. Also, I thought it was cool that Telemachus touched, like, Athena says where Telemachus will touch down and
Yeah.
swoop down at Raven's Rock.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Which, like, yeah, so she's like, hey, it's me, and he's like, awesome, cool. And then she's like, we gotta get those suitors, we gotta get revenge. And then she's like, is my son cool? Is he alive? Please tell me he's alive. And she's like, yeah, he's fine, he's hanging out with Menelaus. And he'll be back soon, though, I'm gonna go get him. And then he
Then at the very end of the chapter, because he has to
yeah.
go in disguise, he can't
He
just
does.
show
Well, he's
up.
been in disguise. While he was sleeping on the cave entrance, she
Has he
bippity
been
boppity
in
booed him.
disguise? You know, the Phoenicians knew he was Odysseus.
Well, no, I'm saying like after they dropped him off when he was still sleeping, and they left, and then Athena came in, and she was like,
Yeah, no, she
yeah.
disguises him at the end of the chapter. He wasn't already in disguise.
Oh, I did. I have him disguised. So, da 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 da. So they dropped him off, and they left, and then at that very moment, great Odysseus woke from his sleep on native ground at last. He had been away for years. He failed to know the land, for the goddess Pallas Athena, Zeus's daughter, showered mist all over, so under cover she might change his appearance head to foot. So she told him every peril he'd met at home, keep him from being known by his wife, townsmen, and friends till the suitors paid the price. And so the king himself, all of Ithaca, looked strange. So
I have 530, or around line 530, 540. Speaking no more, she touched him with her wand, shriveled the clear skin of his arms and legs, made all of his hair fall out, cast over him the wrinkled hide of an old man, and bleared both his eyes that were so bright. And she clapped on an old tunic, a foul cloak upon him, tattered, filthy, stained by greasy smoke, and over that mangy big buckskin a staff she gave him, and a leaky knapsack with no strap but a loop of string. Now then, their colloquy. Sometimes I'm wondering, they could have just used the word conversation. At an end, they went their ways, Athena towards the illustrious like Hediamon, far overseas to join Odysseus' son.
Okay,
And
I
that's
see.
the end of the
Yeah.
chapter.
Yeah, I see now. No, you were right. So the line I was reading is her disguising the environment from Odysseus.
Yeah.
And
okay.
then later
No, I've
she
done that
she disguises him at the end. Okay.
because there's so much magic. I've done that so much in earlier chapters where it's like, wait, no, this happened, and it's like, oh wait, that happens later.
Oh wait, Athena did something. Yeah, I know. She's silly, but then she goes off to get a Telemachus back. So that is chapter 13.
14. Hospitality in the forest, which I love forests.
I do too. Mine is the name for chapter 14 for me is the loyal swineherd. This is just all about Odysseus. He comes up upon one of the livestocks, like farm things that is run by.
Eumaeus?
Huh?
Wait, okay, let me find the name first.
Yeah. Eumaeus.
Eumaeus sounds right.
Yeah. And he's like has been around for a long time, has served Odysseus for many, many years. And he like is the swineherd. He takes care of all of his pigs.
Eumaeus, okay, so Eumaeus is the man because, and you know he's the man because every time he speaks after we find out his name, it's Eumaeus, oh my swineherd.
Really? Interesting. I don't know what is...
It's like Eumaeus, oh my like Eumaeus dash, oh my swineherd.
Yeah, he's like, you're so awesome, my guy. They really care about him.
They raised Telemachus after Odysseus left
Yeah,
him.
he was like Dad 2.0. It was pretty cool. Also,
honestly, I think he's a good dad.
He's like dad number 2, yeah. He's like stepdad.
He's dad number 1. Odysseus is more like dad number 2.
Honestly, yeah. But they have, 12 sties and 50 pigs in each. Let me do that quick math. And by saying do quick math, I'm doing calculator. They have at least 600 pigs, which is pretty cool. But the issue is that they take the fattest to town every day for the frickin' suitors. Yeah. So they're dwindling. But yeah, this whole chapter is pretty much Odysseus, as, in disguise as a beggar talking to this guy.
I put very Gandalf vibes. Like, at the beginning of this chapter, when he comes into the cabin as a wanderer, and he's dressed in his cloak and staff, and he looks like an old man. I'm like, wow, he's giving Gandalf.
He really is. He's giving this like random old dude wandering around.
Pretty magical.
Yeah, pretty magical. And of course, Eumaeus is like big time hospitality. He's like, this is what I do, right? And so he's like, come on in, my guy, you random dude. And he puts his own bedding down for him to lay on, and I'm like, that's so sweet. And then like
this book is all about hospitality.
Oh, absolutely. Unless you're the Phaeacians and Poseidon's angry at you, then
I'm
screw
pretty sure,
you.
like, 3/4 of this book is literally describing how people are
Yeah.
hospitable towards each other.
Yeah, I will say there's something very fascinating that I had been thinking about, but no one had outright said in the book yet, which I can't remember exactly where it was. But there was this idea that, like, one, they say, all beggars come from Zeus. All strangers and beggars come from Zeus. And Zeus is the god of guests. And so, we have to honor the guest and the stranger as we honor Zeus.
Mhm.
And I was always like, it always up until this point had just been like, this is tradition, this is what we do, we're kind, we take care of people, we're hospitable. But I think it was Eumaeus, and it might have been Telemachus, but I think it was Eumaeus who later says, like, I have to take care of you, or Zeus will hurt me. And that kind of frames it more as, like, I'm doing this out of fear of retribution, rather than it being like I'm taking care of you because I want to, which I think it might be a mix of both. But I was kind of like, okay, thank you. Someone's finally saying there is a little bit of a underlying fear to this whole tradition of taking care of people, because you're all afraid that Zeus, being the taciturn weirdo he is, might decide to just smite you because you didn't take care of that random guy, or it might be Zeus in disguise.
How do you live like that? How do you live
Honestly,
each day thinking a god might smite you down?
I mean, that was kind of how I was raised in the church.
Wow.
Which is pretty awful, which is why I have this big, like, surveillance
That,
insecurity, where I feel like I'm being watched all the time and judged. Uh,
God.
but,
Yeah,
yeah,
you and I were raised very
we were
differently.
I got all the bad parts of being raised in a church. Um, which will
I
do
think
a
most
number
of
on
us.
you psychologically. It'll really mess you up. We'll say that.
Actually, there's scientific evidence to support that as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Anyway,
I feel for you.
yeah, it sucks. But hey, I'm doing a lot better now. Um, but there's also there's another line here where Eumaeus is talking again about, like, how they are to, take care of people, and he's like, eat up now, friend. It's all we slaves got, when he got him, like, food. Um, so no fear of the gods in their hard hearts, no mercy. Trust me, the blessed gods have no love for crime. They honor justice, honor the decent acts of man. And I just wrote, lol. Like, I was
Oh,
genuinely laughing out loud to myself. I was like, ha, honor justice and the decent acts of man.
what
Who?
line are you at?
Around
In
line,
like
like,
this whole
99.
little monologue? What?
It's around line 99. It's after Eumaeus goes on his, um, sad time
Oh,
talk.
oh my gosh, you know what's in mine?
Yeah.
Okay. Our fat shoats are all eaten by the suitors,
Mm-hmm.
cold-hearted men, who never spare a thought for how they stand in the sight of Zeus.
Mm-hmm.
Gods living in bliss are fond of no wrongdoing, but
Mm-hmm.
honor discipline and right behavior.
Yeah, sure.
Even the outcasts of the earth, who bring piracy from the sea and bear off plunder given by Zeus in shiploads, even those men, deep in their hearts, tremble for the heaven's eye.
That's true. I think everyone should fear Zeus, period. Because that dude, on a dime, could decide that he doesn't like you and get rid of you.
Well,
Um,
I just thought it was kind of funny, considering how much people actually
yeah.
went off and plundered.
One thing that kind of made me chuckle while reading this particular chapter is that, like, every other sentence that Eumaeus talks about is like, and he'll be like, someone will do something and he'll be like, oh man, I remember Odysseus, and then he'll be all sad again, and I'm like, no offense, but it's been like 20 years. Like, every other sentence is like, Odysseus used to drink water. I miss him. I'm like,
He's not that great of a man, honestly.
he's not like the way in which he, like, talks about him and, like, mourns for him. I'm like,
Well,
like,
I think it's also interesting because they're very loyal to Penelope.
they
And
are.
so when he comes and Odysseus offers news of Odysseus,
Mm-hmm.
the swineherd is just like
kind of
the truth
protective.
doesn't really interest them because many people have come with supposed news of Odysseus, and it just everything worse.
Yeah, and I like that he's kind of like protective of like, yeah, let's not get her hopes up again. All right, she's in enough pain.
To
Like, let's
like,
not.
I think one of the main reasons why this island in society, this kingdom is still standing, is that these people are actually very loving and very loyal to each other,
Oh,
especially
absolutely.
to Odysseus.
Unless you're a suitor,
Which
then you suck.
I suppose since we're character, if you care, is a testament to their character, even though I don't like them, that this many people would be willing to go so far in order to protect their land.
Yeah. But there's a bit where Odysseus like goes on his whole like, hey, I have news, I have heard of Odysseus, he is coming back, I promise, I swear it. And Eumaeus goes, but I will never pay a reward for that. He's like, hey, I bet you right now, if he does come back and I'm right, you need to give me cool clothes. That's the bet. But he's like, I'll never pay that reward. Old friend, Odysseus, he'll never come back home. Never. Drink your wine and sit back. Let's talk of other things. Don't remind me of all this. The heart inside me breaks. When anyone mentions my dear master, that oath of yours, let's let it pass. Pause. Odysseus, oh come back! And he goes on again about Odysseus.
He doesn't make a bet.
Yeah, he kind of does. Like, he says, where is it? It's in, like, the 100s. I swear by Zeus, the first of all gods, at this table of hospitality here, my host, by Odysseus' hearth, where I have come to help, all will come to pass, I swear, exactly as I say. True. He says earlier, he's like, I have good. Okay, sorry. I got confused. It's line 178 for me. Reward for such good news, let me have it the moment he sets foot in his own home. Dress me in shirt and cloak in handsome clothes. Before then I am poor. So he's like, pretty much, he's like...
It's reversed for me. It's more because people are essentially hosts are expected to give gifts, as we have seen.
Yes.
If you are a host, you are expected to give gifts to your guests.
Yeah.
And so, which you see, and
in
the Lord of the Rings all the time.
Oh, do you know?
And but it's basically he's like, I expect a gift for this good news.
Mm-hmm.
But I would not take a rag no matter what my need.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. I hate hell's own gates, that weakness that makes poor man into a flatterer.
Yeah.
And basically it's like, I'll refuse it until the good news comes to pass. But it's not necessarily a bet.
Yeah, that comes later. Later he like actually wages like a bargain with him. But I just think it's funny that he's like, no, let's not talk about Odysseus anymore. I'm too sad. Oh, Odysseus, I miss you. And I'm like, dude, we can't talk about something else for like 5 minutes. Like.
Well, and then we get this whole BS story.
Oh yeah.
From Odysseus, as he tells how he saw Odysseus in the. He's basically the long lost prince, essentially.
Yeah.
It's his cover story that fought in the Trojan War.
Yeah.
And he wasn't as great as Odysseus.
No, because Odysseus was so cool. Like, so cool, Maggie.
Oh my god.
So cool.
Every time Odysseus is mentioned, you cannot get past how cool he is.
He's so cool. This is me, a third person, not Odysseus. I'm just a random guy, and I think Odysseus is really cool. But yeah, he has like the most elaborate backstory that's made up.
I thought it was really interesting because within this whole soliloquy of backstory, he mentions going to Libya.
Yeah.
That's a real place.
Yeah.
A lot of things it's like, oh my gosh, that's a real place.
Right? And I'm like, oh, okay, so your fake made up backstory has real places, but the real story has fake places.
Exactly.
Got it. Cool. This
I
checks
get like
out.
really. It's like now I'm like surprised when places are real.
Like, well, oh, I know that place. Well, Crete's real, to be fair.
That is real.
Crete's a very real place.
It is funny that his story is all real places when we just read a story with all fake places.
Yeah, and I'm like, really?
Makes you wonder what story is real.
Right. It's like the Life of Pi. At the end, it's like, which of these stories is real?
I never read Life of Pi.
Oh, it's really good. It's really good. You should. Highly
I remember
recommend.
it was like required reading at one point for a grade below me, but I never read it.
I read it for funsies. It was really good. I highly enjoyed it.
I just know that like the image on the book was the boy and a tiger in the boat.
Yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know.
Cool.
Really good book though. But yeah,
And,
so he doesn't meet Odysseus in his fake story, but he like ends up on an island that had a claimed to have had Odysseus there recently, and so he got wind from this king that Odysseus was on his way home. And so that was like his little like, yes, I was told by someone else that he is coming back.
I forget if we get the swine Eumaeus' story in this chapter or the next chapter.
I think it's the next chapter.
Because the next chapter takes place mostly in this.
Yeah. This is mostly like his made up backstory. Wait. Yeah. Also, they have a very sad description of them killing a.
Also, the swine is so skeptical, and props to him.
I mean, yeah. He's like
at the end of this whole thing. It's like at the end, at the end of this whole thing. Because he ends it, and after they're talking, and he goes, "You poor drifter." But then it also says, if I receive and shelter you, it is not for your tales, but for your trouble. And with an eye to Zeus, who guards a guest.
Yeah.
And Odysseus smiles slyly. That sly, guileful man. Our black, suspicious heart beats in you surely, the man that you are.
Yeah, so he, like, he doesn't know the truth, but he clocks that whole backstory that Odysseus just gave him is BS. He's like, no.
I guess Odysseus isn't that good of a liar as everyone seems to make him be.
Or Eumaeus is just really good at catching people's lies. Who knows?
I mean, wouldn't surprise me. This Eumaeus is kind of like the man.
He's got a good head on his shoulders, like, for sure.
Like, he gets a lot. He gets a lot. For a side character, he's like the most well-developed side character we've had thus far.
Yeah. But he does say after he's like, he clocks his lie, and he's like, so you, old misery, seeing a god has led you here to me, don't try to charm me now, don't spellbind me with lies. Never for that will I respect you, treat you kindly. No, it's my fear of Zeus, the god of guests, and because I pity you.
Yeah, I don't have the fear part.
I do. Interesting, because he's like, yeah.
Fear of Zeus is not written in my translation at all.
Interesting.
So I'm in my translation, it really comes off as a more religious.
Yeah.
Not like obviously it's a religious thing, but it's not out of fear. It's more out of ritual and manners that you do it, not necessarily out of fear.
Yeah.
So the fear factor is not there.
Interesting.
I wonder why it is there in your translation.
I don't know. It is interesting though.
You have a newer translation too. I have an older translation, which in terms of in terms of, ancient literature, I actually tend to prefer older translations.
Mm-hmm. I like newer ones just because I like to see what research, because we've learned new stuff. And I like to see
Not
that
that
find its
much.
way in
It's
translations.
not that much.
Not that much, but it is interesting.
It's really not that much. And in terms of the actual story, I I don't know. I in terms of actual story and the way the story is written, especially to an English speaking audience,
Yeah.
I tend to prefer older translations because the nuance and especially nuance from the vocabulary used and the syntax, I feel like it feels closer to the source material or to the spirit of the text
Yeah.
rather than more modern language. More modern language really throws me off.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Also read it. It also could be that we have to do an episode on this because I've been like really into 19th century literature.
I know.
Like, I don't know what it is about and we need to discuss this so we can delve deeper into this.
Yeah.
But maybe it's because of that. It's like I have a tendency to really enjoy older writing.
Yeah. Oh, we could definitely do that.
I guess this explains the Lord of the Rings a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, like I don't even consider Lord of the Rings is I really do consider as a classic.
Oh, it definitely is a
classic. In terms of like the fantasy genre, it doesn't even really fit in the fantasy genre anymore because modern fantasy to me has deviated so
modern
drastically.
fantasy, and I think that's why we have but that's why we have a distinction now between high fantasy and low fantasy. Because modern fantasy is low fantasy.
That's not a good distinction. It's not a good distinction at all because Lord of the Rings is considered high fantasy.
Yes.
But it's so drastically different than most modern fantasy that is in the 21st century alone.
Yeah.
It's deviated so drastically from the source of how fantasy started and how this storytelling technique started in the first place. That it's high fantasy, low fantasy is how deviated from our world it is. It's not how deviated from the classics.
I suppose, because I would consider Brandon Sanderson to be high fantasy.
Yeah, but Brandon Sanderson is modern.
Is modern,
fantasy.
yeah.
And
which is why, like, I think that just it's like, yeah.
Like, I mean, we're reading the Odyssey. It's definitely a different feel from a lot of classic literature. Like Lord of the Rings definitely feels more like classic literature.
Yeah.
Brandon Sanderson feels like modern literature in modern prose, which annoys me.
I know.
I like his books. I've only read 2, and I liked them. But like his writing style doesn't necessarily impact me the way it does you.
I love it. It's great storytelling. I love the world building.
But like it's modern fantasy, and it's so different. It's deviated so much.
I don't want to get
classic fantasy structure.
I don't want to get on too much of a tangent just because we still have a good chunk of this to get through. And we're 45 minutes in. But where would you place like the Legends of Drizzt?
The Legend of Drizzt?
Yeah, because that's high fantasy.
I suppose still modern fantasy, but it has a classic feel to it because there's so many points in the story, especially in the journal entries at the beginning of the parts, that make it feel more classic fantasy. Rather than because I think classic and modern fantasy is a better categorization than low and high fantasy. Because low and high fantasy does not have a distinguishable. It doesn't have enough of a distinguishable writing style for me.
That makes sense.
Yes, there's more world building and information that you have to remember in high fantasy, but the writing style is still so similar that it doesn't really change much.
That makes
And
sense.
the writing style in Legend of Drizzt is definitely more modern, but it has more of a classic feel to it. So I would still consider it modern fantasy. It's one of the
Okay.
few modern fantasy series that I actually really enjoy.
Okay, that makes sense. Because Legend of Drizzt, and I have not read Lord of the Rings, only reading through The Hobbit, but Legend of Drizzt definitely has sort of that, in my opinion, that kind of almost classic vibe to it,
It does. It for sure
which
does.
I like, because it, you know, I do like it, that
Well,
old
it's
school high
centered
fantasy.
around, I think because it's centered more around a theme and
Mm-hmm.
the character's development, and it's not necessarily centered around the world,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Even
Yeah.
though it's a very in-depth world.
Yeah, but there's a lot more on like the people and the development rather than because like Brandon Sanderson, and one of the reasons I do love his work is because it is very like world building. It's very you get a nice painted picture of what this world looks like and all these different plots that intertwine because of the world, which makes sense because it's got this whole Cosmere thing, which is the multiverse of his books. So big world building, big world building. All right, back to
Yeah,
this
but the
book
way
though.
he does his world building is different.
It is different, but I like it. I like it.
I know you do.
All right.
I like it too. Okay.
So,
How they
they,
came to Ithaca.
yeah.
Next chapter.
Wait, I just
They
want to
go to
double
sleep
check. Yeah,
after
that's
he
it.
tells the story.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. They talk.
So the next chapter is book 15, how they came to Ithaca.
Oh, mine's the prince sets sail for home, and he's awake.
Honestly, that makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought this was really funny. I thought this was a really funny chapter.
I loved this chapter. I had so much
Because
fun.
first of all, his rapport, Telemachus, because we're back with Telemachus.
Yeah, back with
And
Telemachus.
He's currently like, it's like there's like no time difference between when we left him and they were getting ready for bed at
Yeah,
Menelaus's
yeah,
palace to now. Like all this happened,
yeah.
and it's still the same time as when
Right.
they went
We're
to
like
bed.
and back to where we left Telemachus and his buddy Pisistrus. They were having a little sleepover.
It's just, wait, I had it in front of me. Pisistratus.
Pisistratus. I'm gonna keep calling him
Wait,
Pastrami.
Pisistratus? It's P. Okay, P-E-I. That's pay, right?
I have Pisistratus.
Okay, I have P-E-I.
Pisistratus.
I have P-E-I-S-I with an asterisk. Or not asterisk. Why did I say asterisk? It's a slanty. And then,
It's an accent.
you know,
Yeah, some sort of accent
yes.
mark.
Wow.
Pisistratus.
I swear I did take French and I did graduate college. So, you know,
Yeah.
P-E-I-S-I with an accent, S-T-R-A-T-O-S.
I'm gonna call him Pastrami.
Pisistratus? Pisistratus.
Pisistratus? That guy. They're besties. They're having a little sleepover.
Anyways, like, all of a sudden, it's like, I feel like they just became kind of brothers.
I mean, they get into that later.
They're
They're
each other awake.
besties. But yeah, right.
Anyway, we can stop before we get too into it.
Yeah, so essentially Athena, like, well, Telemachus is already awake. He's not sleeping. Athena shows up and is like, bro, what are you doing? You have to go home. Like, she wasn't the one that told him to come here in the first place, but she's like, you're taking too long. Go home right now, now.
The urgency, I feel like it's kind of a little, the tone of what these people are saying and these characters is different in your translation.
It's so
because
funny.
in mine, it's more like, all right, now you've found out what you needed to know, time to go home. It's not like, you need to get home right now. It's more like, okay, you did what you were supposed to do. You do need to get home, though, because all this shit is about to happen, and
to be fair,
like, just like, You can't hang around.
To be fair, a lot of it is just my personal interpretations of this stuff. It's not really like the translation itself says, Athena said, "It's wrong, Telemachus, wrong to
Oh.
rove so far, so long from home, leaving your own holding, unprotected, crowds in your palace so brazen." You know, she's not as pushy, but like I'm dramatic, so I like to imagine that she's like, "Bro, what are you doing? Go home." And he's like, oh, also, she's like, and also, all the suitors are planning to kill you, so I'm gonna tell you the cool way to get home so that you don't get ambushed and attacked. Which just so happens to be where the swineherd
It takes
is.
a long way home.
They take the long way
Like he
home.
takes the long way home instead of the short way home.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
she's like, you have to go the long way, and you have to go to the swineherd. You have to go to the swineherd. Don't ask why, but you have to. Totally not where your dad is, but you gotta go there. And he's like, got it. And so he kicks his buddy awake. It's so rude. He's like, get up.
Well, it's like that's such sibling behavior.
Like it's such sibling behavior. Like get up.
Sibling behavior.
Get up. And then he's like, and then his friend's like, bro, it's the middle of the night. How about like it's about to be morning? Can't you just like chill for a hot second? And he's like, okay.
We can't just like. You can't just steal away in the middle of the night. You have to
like that's rude.
Like, tell Menelaus
you gotta
leaving.
say bye to your host, right? And so they wait, and then as soon as Menelaus is up, they're like, gotta go. And I do love what Menelaus says, because he says, I would never detain you here for too long, Telemachus. Not if your heart is set on going home. I'd find fault with another host, I'm sure, too warm to his guests, too pressing, or too cold. Balance is best in all things. It's bad either way, spurring your stranger home who wants to linger, holding the one who longs to leave, you know. And so like I like that he points out that like, yeah, you have to be the right kind of host. You can't keep him too long, you can't kick him out too soon. You gotta find the balance.
It's hard. You know?
Hard.
I think because you see this in Jane Austen too. In Jane Austen, it's a lot of people visiting each other's homes. Which, you know, now that I think about it, very Homer-like.
Yeah, very Homer-like.
Is Jane Austen more Homeric than you even realize?
Well, we'll be reading Emma next, so
like,
we can check that out.
It's hard to find that line.
It is, especially as a Midwesterner.
You know, when there's a lot of conflict in how, exactly what is described. Oh, I don't want to be rude, but I don't know if they want to go or if I'm pushing them to go. Am I being too pushy? Am I being a good host? Like,
am I being bad? Yeah, no.
These are still modern struggles.
100%.
This is actually why this book is so relevant today.
So relevant. But yeah, so he's like, I gotta go, Menelaus, and he's like, well, what if we like, let's just do like dinner and then you can go, and he's like, no, I have to go now, and he's like, fine, we'll do brunch, and then you can go, and he's like, okay, fair, we could do brunch, I can make time for brunch, and they have a friend come over too, because their castles, yeah, he gives them gifts, one of which he regifted from Hephaestus. The friend, Etonius, Etionus, son of Brothus. They're neighbors. He just popped over from his castle to have brunch with Menelaus, which is cool that they could do that. But yeah, they get a bunch of gifts. A mixing bowl that was regifted. 1:30ish.
Where are you?
1:30ish. They're doing brunch, and he's getting gifts, and then he's gonna leave. That's pretty much it. So yeah, they get gifts from Menelaus and Helen.
Antonius.
Yeah. I just thought it was funny that they randomly were like, and also this guy shows up for breakfast. I was like, okay. Cool.
Hey.
We'll never hear about you again.
What talking about? Like, if Odysseus moved his kingdom to right next door, they get a brunch all the time.
Right. Wouldn't that be fun? But yeah, so he gets a mixing bowl.
If, like, they lived near each other?
would gab all the time. They would like have like weekly dinners. They would be like gossiping.
Oh my gosh, they could just go on a plundering raid all as like their outing.
Yeah, like ooh, like instead of like we're going fishing this weekend, it's like we're going plundering this weekend.
Oh my gosh, there's this unsuspecting island nearby.
Ooh, they'll never know. Um, God, so bad.
So,
But Helen
anyways.
gives him some hand woven beautiful robes that are meant to be for Telemachus's future wife. Um,
Does he get married?
Telemachus? I don't know.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I wouldn't. I don't know.
Honestly, it like we still have okay. The section that we read for
Mhm.
this particular section that we were talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry. There was a funny bit in here that I have to. There's two funny bits on the next page that I was chuckling so much on these pages.
Okay,
So,
so we end on page 305
oh,
before book 17, and we
yeah.
still have like 160 pages left of this book.
Heck yeah, we do.
I
I don't think Telemachus gets married in this
I know
book.
what happened. I kind of know what happens because like they have the test of the bow
Yeah,
where
yeah.
Odysseus shoots an arrow through 20 axe heads, and we still have some slaying to do.
Oh, we
Where
definitely have some
they
slaying.
have a bunch of men to slay.
We got a bunch
Like
of dudes to
blood will
kill.
be running in rivers.
It's gonna be awesome.
And
Cannot
so,
wait.
like, I get that all that needs to happen, but does that really take 150 pages?
Look, Odysseus is a professional yapper, so yes, it will. It will take that long.
Like, his entire journey, that is like the selling point of the Odyssey, is it's his homeward journey
Mm-hmm.
took maybe 150 pages
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Like, I mean, even the sirens were only 2 pages.
That was so quick.
I'm so concerned about what is left in store and like
Oh,
what
it'll
don't
be
I
fine.
know.
It'll be fine, I'm sure.
But
Um,
I wouldn't be surprised if Telemachus did get married in this book.
I don't think he does. I think I know what happens to him according to Greek myth, but I don't want to say anything in case I'm wrong. But I don't think he gets married in this book because he doesn't. I don't know. We'll see though.
Also,
Um,
what is courting? Because Penelope doesn't seem like she's courting anyone. She's just hiding in her room, and the suitors are
yeah,
physically in her court.
they are courting her.
But they're not even
Telemachus.
talking to her.
Look, Telemachus is a young boy of 20 years old. He has many years
21.
before he has to marry.
I thought he was 21.
I think he's like 21-ish. Yeah, but
I mean,
he's
like 20,
young. He's like
not that big of a
21.
difference.
No, but by the standards of the time, he is young for a man.
Yeah.
So,
Anyways, so
um,
big like there's a lot of foreshadowing in these chapters.
yeah, I really enjoyed. So as he's getting all these gifts, and Helen's all like, "Man, it would be so cool if you got home and your dad was there," and he's like, well, "That would be cool." And then a freaking eagle flies by, clutching a huge white goose in its talons, and I was like, "That sounds
There's
terrifying."
the bird signing.
The
There's
bird
lots of bird
signing.
signs in this because it's not just the eagle.
Yeah,
Later on, it's Apollo because it's not just Zeus's eagle
there's a
because later
hawk.
on it's
Yeah,
Apollo's hawk. It's like Homer really puts in. It's like it's gonna happen. Like
yeah.
just wait, it's gonna happen. Blood will be shed. Don't you worry, guys.
Yeah, don't worry, don't worry. People will die, and not the people we like, not the cool people, the bad people.
Well, I thought it was interesting that it was a goose.
Yeah.
And I also thought it was interesting that it specified it was hooked from a farmyard,
Yes.
indicating domestication.
Yeah, that is interesting. I love that
Also,
when
have you seen, I don't know if you've seen birds of prey actually, like, get animals in
yeah,
real life.
they're
It's
scary.
it's so cool, though.
It's so
It's
cool. Like
kinda
just
scary.
it's scary
How is it scary?
because they just swoop
You're not
down.
the
They go.
one.
They carry it off.
It's so cool.
It's so cool, but it's also like I
Why?
don't know, man. The birds are
Why
so
would
powerful. I'm so glad that I
you
am of a size that means a bird can't swoop down and get me. Like if I was small
actually,
enough, I'd be terrified.
my dog was hunted as a puppy by an
Yeah,
owl in our
right?
backyard, and it almost attacked me when I stood in front of it.
Birds are vicious
Well,
creatures.
okay, that sounded dumb. I was not standing in front of the owl. I have like arborvitae. You know the arborvitae,
Yeah,
those
yeah,
arborvitae
yeah.
walls.
The
So it
bushes.
was hiding in the arborvitae, and my
Yeah.
dog could sense it, and so he like stood stock straight still, like
Mhm.
not moving at all. And I was like, okay, that's not a good sign. And he was a tiny puppy at the time, and
Okay.
he had good instincts. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, something's wrong. And so I walked in front of him, like, what's going on? And the owl came out and was literally like almost a foot from my face, like trying almost attacked
He's
me
like,
to
I
get to the
wanted the
dog.
dog.
It was huge. It was a
There you
barred owl
go.
for
Oh yeah.
sure. Because you could see the silhouette,
Mhm.
and it was barred owl was huge.
Yeah. Um. So okay. So moving on. So they
Well, they read the bird signs. I should say
yeah,
they
yeah.
read the bird
Yeah, well, Helen does. Helen's like, I will be
signs.
the prophet. I will tell you what the eagle means. And I'm like, okay,
You know,
sure.
Helen. I love Helen.
I
You
love
know I love
Helen.
Helen. Helen is she does so much,
She's a boss.
and and she held out.
Mhm.
A lot of that wasn't her fault, and all these
No.
men are blaming her for it in this book.
Yeah,
Like
they just need someone to
even
blame.
uh, who's the swineherd? Just said his
Yeah,
name.
he said something mean about Helen, and I didn't much care for that.
People who smack talk Helen, I'm like, I don't care for you.
Okay, my respect for you has
Including
dropped.
Odysseus.
Yeah. But speaking of
It wasn't
disres,
her fault, okay?
it was not her fault. But speaking of disrespecting people, I love that when Telemachus and Pisistratus, that guy, they get like close to his home. Telemachus is like, "Hey, what if we don't go talk to your dad? What if
Because your dad,
your
because
dad,
what did Menelaus just say? It
right?
would also be
Mm-hmm.
a bad. It's not necessarily that there's ill intention, but
No.
his dad is going to make him stay the whole day and night. He's
Your
safe.
dad is a Midwesterner and will not let me leave, and I have to go home now." And
Bro,
he's like,
the
fair.
Midwestern goodbye is so real.
It's so real. And he's like,
It's
fair,
so real.
fair. I'll take you straight to your boat. We'll have to go fast though, because the second my dad finds out that we snuck by him, he's gonna be pissed. So go quick.
Literally, like when I'm at a party, I basically like almost leave.
Mm-hmm.
Like just don't say anything when I need to leave.
The old
But it's
Irish
like
goodbye.
part of me is like, and part of me is like, oh, that's a little impolite. So I do say like bye, but I'm like by the door so
Yeah,
I can leave.
it's the Irish goodbye.
I am Irish,
Yeah, I do the same thing.
well,
Um,
amongst other nationalities.
yeah. Um, but yeah, he gets on his ship, and then this dude shows up, this random prophet, who like has a
Well,
whole
no,
backstory.
it's not a prophet. It's a strange Easterner.
Oh, my book calls him a prophet.
Mine says Easterner.
Interesting. Because, like, in his
Hmm.
backstory, he gets, like, cool abilities, I thought. Because he tells him his, like, whole sad backstory, and he's like, okay, you can come with
Everyone has a
us.
sad backstory in this.
Everyone has a sad backstory with the gods, because they
If
suck.
anyone were the king of sad, tragic backstories,
Yeah.
need, need no look.
Um,
You need not look further than Homer.
oh,
It
so,
is really funny,
okay,
though.
no, wait.
I think
Yeah, sorry. I just saw, it says the prophet's son. So his dad was a prophet.
wait, no, he's not a prophet. The dad's not a prophet. The dad is a wizard.
That's a prophet!
I'm saying you're not. He's a wizard.
I know he's called a wizard in your book, but it's the same thing.
Gifted in prophecy.
Yeah.
He has had as a forebear that Melampus wizard who lived in Old Pylus, mother city of western flocks.
Okay, in my book they call him a seer or a prophet.
Wizard's cooler. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Wizard implies, though, that he's learned magic through study.
No, it doesn't. Not in Greek myth.
Not in... Okay, I'm fairly certain that they didn't call them wizards in the olden days. Wizard's a pretty newer term.
No, it's actually not at all.
Okay, he's a wizard, though, because that is cooler. He could be a wizard.
Wizard is not a modern... is not necessarily as modern a convention as
The current the current use of it is newer.
Well, yeah, because it's the current use. Current use, not necessarily.
Oh my god. Sorry, my Benadryl's kicking in and I'm getting so sleepy. Okay, we got one more chapter to get through. No, yeah. Alright, we got this. Alright,
Yeah.
so...
Wait, okay, so Telemachus, he's like, basically this random man asks for safe passage.
And he's
like, sure.
He's like,
And
absolutely.
these guys, what do we gotta go right now?
Stranger
and so they
danger's...
steal away.
Yeah. Stranger danger's not a thing.
Titus was like, hey, like, I'll give you a head start, but I gotta go tell my dad.
Yeah.
So they gotta leave, and they take the long way around.
They do.
Okay, I'm so confused as to the time scale now.
Yeah.
Because the time scale's so off. I have no perception of time now.
Oh yeah.
Because like we start with Telemachus, and then we go to Odysseus.
Yes.
But like we go back a year to Odysseus, and then Odysseus gets off the island with that one woman nymph.
Oh, I do not have that. Mine goes straight from Telemachus getting on his boat to go back to Ithaca to the swineherd and...
No. I'm going way back to the beginning of the book. So we start the book with Telemachus.
Yeah.
And then Telemachus gets to Menelaus, and then we go back a year.
What?
To Odysseus on the island of Calypso.
Oh, I have nothing about that in mine.
I'm going back to the beginning of the book, Theresa.
Oh, of the whole book. Okay.
Yes.
My chapters are called books. And so I was like, what?
Mine.
Okay. I'm confused. So, yeah.
Calypso, and then, but that's like a year back.
Yeah.
And then we go 10 years, like almost 9 years?
Mm-hmm.
9 years back when Odysseus recounts.
Yeah.
And then we come back to the present time?
Yeah. We're on present time now.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
But
no,
then,
it's a lot of time jumping.
We're going back to present time, but then, okay, so what my point is Odysseus is talking to the swineherd in present time, correct?
Mm-hmm, yes.
But it took, presumably, a few days for Telemachus to get to Menelaus' kingdom at Pylus.
Yeah.
But then he takes the long way around.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the time scale? Like, how far behind is Telemachus to when Odysseus is speaking?
I don't know. It's a lie. All I know.
Am I making any sense?
I know what you mean, but I'm personally not gonna try to decode it, because all I know right now is that Telemachus gets home at Ithaca around the same time Odysseus does.
So Odysseus just went to bed, and then we go back to Telemachus. But then when Telemachus meets Odysseus, it's like the next day for Odysseus.
Yeah.
But Telemachus took the long way back. So how many days is this actually taking place?
I don't know. And I don't think they know.
I don't think they know.
Remember,
either.
this all used to be oral tradition, so they were probably just hoping no one would notice. They're probably like, no.
This is what happens when you write stories down.
You're like, crap, it's inconsistent. I'm not thinking too deeply about it. It's too much for my brain.
Well, I thought it was funny because in the same chapter as the eagle getting the goose, a little bit like around line 640, you have the hawk clutching the dove.
Yeah, which I thought was cool imagery.
I was on this too.
Oh yeah, everyone's invested.
All the gods are invested now.
Oh, they're all invested. But I do so
we do come back because we come back to Odysseus. That's why I'm like talking about this, is because we come back to Odysseus talking to
Eumaeus. The swineherd.
Eumaeus.
Yeah, the swineherd.
Why do I keep forgetting his name?
It's okay. We can just keep calling him the swineherd. It's easier that way.
Eumaeus. It's such a simple name. I have a line underlined that I liked because we get Eumaeus' backstory. And Eumaeus
was
sold into
messed
slavery.
up.
And
by his mother. By his mother.
No, it wasn't by his mother.
Yeah, it was the Phaeacian woman that was married to, was kept by his father. And so
she was a slave.
Yeah, that gave birth to him.
Did she give birth to him?
Did she? Oh, no, she's nursing him. So she's like the wet nurse to the guy's... But he steals the kid. She steals the kid. And
sells him into slavery. She does die quite suddenly, though.
Yeah, by Artemis. Artemis decides to just shoot her down, which was pretty baller. Artemis.
Fair.
It's fair, but also that kid had to watch it happen. And then get sold into slavery.
Well, okay, so he got sold into slavery, but fortunately for him, he got sold into Odysseus' house.
Yeah.
And he's basically not a slave anymore.
I mean, he was, but yeah.
He was raised.
He was treated like a nice slave. It's like Gone with the Wind.
What?
Gone with the Wind? Gone with the Wind's all about romanticizing slavery. And it's just like, well...
No, wait. He pays the ransom, and so I don't think he's a slave anymore.
Oh, he's been calling himself a slave.
He's... What?
Yeah. I mean, earlier when he was talking to Odysseus, he says, this is all us slaves have. And he's like, yes, I'm a slave. I'm literally a slave, technically.
I did not notice. Either it's not in my translation, or I completely skipped over that.
Dude, the Greeks were all about slavery.
Okay,
they were so into it.
That it could or could not be in my translation, because I don't think... Okay.
I mean, he refers to Odysseus as his master. And he calls himself a slave.
One second. Okay, just because he refers to Odysseus as a master does not mean he is still a slave. People call...
I mean, fair, but in conjunction with him also calling himself a slave.
Where?
It is in the last book when he is meeting the loyal swine, this loyal swineherd. Um, I have line 90. Then coating the meat with white barley groats. Interesting. And mixing honeyed wine in a carving bowl, he sat down across from his guest, inviting him warmly. Eat up now, my friend. It's all we slaves have got. That's the first time he refers to himself as a slave. There's other parts. I have to find them.
Line 90 in Hospitality in the Forest?
Yeah, book 14. Yeah.
One second. Okay, we have very different words.
Hmm. But
No,
I know Ithaca, like they had a lot of slaves. It was not uncommon.
I'm not saying they didn't, Theresa. I'm saying that in my copy, Eumaeus is not a slave.
I mean, by your translation.
I said that. I said my copy. Did I not just say my copy?
Yeah.
Why am I sounding upset? Because I'm having trouble finding this.
Anyway.
No, it doesn't come up. Anyways, that does not come up in my, he's not.
Yeah.
And later on, he also talks about how he was raised alongside Odysseus' sister.
Yeah.
And they actually, like, loved each other. And then she was sold off into marriage.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the case. But, I mean, they did that a lot, too. Like, they would have slaves, and then they would still just, like, raise them with their kids. All I'm saying is, Odysseus' dad purchased him as goods. He did buy him with money.
Do you not also adopt children with money, Theresa?
That is not the same.
You have to pay money in order.
You're not paying for the child. You're paying for the adoption service. That is not the same.
A little bit.
It is kind of different when they kind of chuck you up on a block and say, "Here is this child you may have for money."
Anyways, so there's a line in How They Came to Ithaca. Okay. I completely lost all concept of where I am now.
I am like right after he told his story. And then, yeah. So he told his story, his backstory, and Odysseus is like, oof, but I also know it because we grew up together.
No, wait, I'm so turned around now. Telemachus just left. Okay, Telemachus just left. We're back with Odysseus.
Yeah, and then Odysseus is all like, oh, well, the swineherd goes on more about how much he misses Odysseus, and then talks about his dad, and about, his mom. Larity's still alive.
This is why. I think I expected his story to take longer, and it's just a page, because, Odysseus, and it's just a page.
Right. But, yeah. I will say it's sad.
Well, there's a line that I underlined. It says, the master of the woodland answered, around line 490, really. In later days, a man can find a charm in old adversity, exile, and pain.
So, say that again. Sorry, I was reading something else.
Oh, in later days, a man can find a charm in old adversity, exile, and pain.
I suppose? Who said that? in your book?
Odysseus.
Hmm. I mean, dude did spend 20 years just sort of wandering. So it's kind of his thing, I suppose.
You don't agree?
No, I do. I don't know where in the book that is, so I don't know what the context of that line is.
Oh, so friends, now that you show an interest in that matter, attend me quickly, be at your ease, and drink your wine. These autumn nights are long. Oh wait, no, it's not Odysseus, it's Eumaeus. Wow. We were talking about masters, and so when it says the master of the woodland, I was like, oh, Odysseus. And no, it's not, it's Eumaeus.
Yeah, that's his whole thing, is he's in charge of the pigs.
Key word, he's the master of the woodland.
Yeah. He can be.
Friends, now that you show an interest in that matter, drink. Oh, you're still a child, I see, when exiled somehow from your parents' land. Tell me, basically, he asked for his story,
Yeah.
how he came to the island, and he goes, friend, now that you show an interest in this matter, attend me quietly, be at your ease, drink wine, blah, 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 blah. You need not go to bed before the hour, sleeping from dusk to dawn's a dull affair. Let any other here who wishes, though, retire to rest. At daybreak, let him breakfast and take the king's own swine into the wilderness. Here's a tight roof. We'll drink on, you and I, and ease our hearts of hardships we remember, sharing old times. In later days, a man can find a charm in old adversity, exile, and pain. As to your question now, blah, 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 and then he goes on with the story.
Yeah. My book refers to him as foreman of men. Yeah. Interesting.
Anyways, I
still
thought that was
sucks.
interesting, especially considering how much Les Mis references Homer. I mean, it references Virgil the Aeneid as well, but how
Yeah.
much of Homer is like part of the story, and I see it now as I'm reading it, because when you look at the characters, all the characters, each major character is essentially stripped down to the absolute lowest of the low in wretchedness, and then it is how their character grows and comes out of that wretchedness. So like Jean Valjean becomes a kind love after his encounter with the priest bishop. He becomes this kind, loving person, and in the innkeeper becomes this wretched criminal, and Marius becomes, well,
Yeah.
Marius has his own issues.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't go on off on this tangent. Needless to say, they find melancholy beautiful.
Oh yeah. I mean,
It's kind of that sense of having character development.
Yeah.
Having character development makes you more interesting.
You need that tragic backstory, you know?
You really do. You know, people keep saying the tragic backstory is overused.
No, it's not.
One person does it.
Alright, so he tells his very depressing backstory, which got cooler when he ends up in Ithaca, because everyone there's a lot cooler to him. And then we jump back to Telemachus. So Telemachus, he stops at the place
he makes landfall and then tells his men to go to port so that he can go say hi to the swineherd, who's basically the father. He's basically his real father.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
His real dad.
Odysseus left when he was a baby / maybe 1 year old, still a baby.
Still a baby.
This man was the one who raised him.
This man raised him.
Odysseus went off and fought in the Trojan War.
Yeah.
In my eyes, this man is more Telemachus'
father.
This
is his dad. And also that his wet nurse is also more his mom than Penelope. Which kind of sucks. But that's like kind of how royals were back then, you know? Like, they were kind, but they weren't parental. Also, the random dude that they took on the ship. He's like, where should I go? Should I go to your house? And Telemachus is like, it's kind of a mess right now.
Absolutely not.
It's kind of a mess right now. You should go to this other
It's an
guy's house.
absolute atrocious mess. I could not welcome you as a guest and be
Yeah,
called a good host.
that's awkward. Don't go there. And then that hawk, Apollo's hawk, comes and gets a struggling dove and rips its feathers out. Which, I mean, apparently is a good sign?
It is. It's like the eagle. It's like the eagle getting the goose.
I know, but like doves are historically known as like good omens, and for like a hawk to come and rip its feathers out, my modern sensibilities are kind of like, that feels like an omen, but they take it as it's supposed to be a good sign for them, because a hawk and Apollo are related to Telemachus and his
Maybe it's because I've watched videos of birds, like birds of prey, eating other things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like completely unfazed by this. I think it's cool.
I know it's neat. It's just, again, doves have become in modern connotation sort of this like purity, peace, hope. And so
It
like
really
to
only-
see
I
the
feel, okay, I need to double check to see if I'm wrong, but I feel like that came on with Christianity.
Oh, it definitely did.
Not necessarily,
yeah.
not necessarily, because it clearly does not hold the same connotation.
No, yeah, it seems historically is not the same. And so like my gut reaction was, oh no, the dove, but then I read more, I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. This was good. We like this. Okay.
All right, chapter 16.
16.
I can read Roman numerals.
I love my title chapter. It's just father and son.
Oh my gosh, we have the same chapter title for once.
Yay! This chapter was also good. I was kind of tearing up.
Homer loves drama.
He does. He loves men crying. Like, he really loves men crying.
He does. Real men cry. Theresa,
real men cry. That's hot.
Real men cry. Real men cry from joy and from sorrow.
Mm-hmm. The whole gambit of emotions, they cry.
Oh yeah. But like, literally, I think it's so funny because obviously, as the title implies, Telemachus reunites with his father.
Yeah.
But it's when Eumaeus walks out of the house. So Eumaeus greets Telemachus as his son, essentially.
Yeah. Also,
and then goes to tell Penelope.
Yeah. Also,
and then
yeah. Real quick, I just think it's really neat because earlier when Odysseus rolls up on the swineherd, the dogs initially go to attack, but then he knows the trick because he lived here, and so the dogs don't attack him. But then here, when Telemachus shows up, the dogs are all like, oh, "It's Telemachus!" And they get all excited and they nuzzle him, and I'm like, those are your dogs. It's so cute. They love him. And then the way Eumaeus greets him too was like such a fatherly affection.
Dramatically drops the bowl of wine he was holding. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're safe.
And he's crying and he's giving him smooches on the face and his eyes, and he's like, I love you.
Also, the way Telemachus enters the it's like he's a man now. He's he looks like a captain now. He's a man now.
And he's all proud.
And escapes death.
Oh, it's so cute. And he's like, yep, I'm home. And then he's like, who's this dude? Who's this old dude you have here?
So, Eumaeus, Odysseus is an ass.
He's kind of an ass. Yeah.
Because so he asks, and his first words to his son are essentially, "How could you let this happen? Wouldn't you rather die than have your house in such a state?" And I'm just like, and Telemachus is like, there was nothing I could do. I was too young to do anything. I wasn't even an adult until recently.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I literally wrote in the margins, yeah, and you weren't there, Odysseus.
Yeah, yeah. Because at first when he starts talking, I'm like, okay, and then I'm like, okay. Because, like,
Oh,
Telemachus and
that's
Eumaeus are just, like,
weird.
chit-chatting
Those
about
are
what to
his
do with
first
him.
words. I can't believe those are his first words to his son that he hasn't seen in like 20 years.
Yeah. It's pretty much, he's just like, dang, y'all let the suitors take over?
What
Though,
did
to be fair,
what
he's not
Eumaeus thought it was
Odysseus.
uncalled for?
Yeah. To be fair, he is not Odysseus right now. He has to keep the bit going. And he
He
is
does,
really good at lying.
but he doesn't apologize for it.
No, he seems to be a very unapologetic man in general. Anyway, so yeah.
Anyway, so Eumaeus goes, okay, we're getting to the why we named this episode, Bibbidi
Yeah.
Bobbidi Boo.
Yeah. Yeah.
We go, so Eumaeus goes to tell Penelope quietly
Yeah.
that Telemachus is back.
Yeah.
And Odysseus steps out, and Athena, because he's the only one who can
Yeah.
see Athena appear to him.
I will
And
note, as a beautiful, tall, and skilled at weaving things, that's that's the description. A woman who is tall and beautiful and really good at weaving.
what?
That's how they describe her. Just a tall, beautiful woman who could weave things really well.
I don't have the weaving. I just said taking the form of a tall woman, handsome and clever. Oh, I guess clever at her craft.
I mean, yeah, she is a weaver.
That's the only craft women do is weaving, so.
Well, also Athena is like known as the weaver. Like that's her bit. You know, Arachne.
I thought that was Arachnid.
She was a person, a mortal, who someone said, you weave better than Athena, and Athena said, bet, and then they had a competition, and Athena didn't like that she was actually doing better than her, and so she turned her into a spider.
That makes sense.
Yeah. She's in my Atheos lore for my channel. She's in charge of fabrics and textiles.
That also makes sense.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. I'm working on the art for her right now. She's sassy and I like it. Anyway, she shows up and I like that it says that she gave a signal with her brows. So she just like, you know, like wink wink, you know.
or like the eyebrow raise.
Right? Like just like head nodding.
So she says hi. And it says, saying no more, she tipped her golden wand upon the man, making his cloak pure white, and the knit tunic fresh around him. Lithe and young she made him, ruddy with sun, his jawline clean. The beard no longer grew upon his chin, and she withdrew when she had done. And I literally put Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo.
I did too.
Like, it's a white dress even.
Right? She Bibbidi Bobbidi booed his ass. She said, you get to be hot again. And then he just walks in, and Telemachus is like, holy shit, are you a god? Because you were an old dude, now you're a hot dude.
I understand Telemachus' reaction.
Yeah, and his first reaction too...
Odysseus is acting incredulous that Telemachus is like, are you a god? Like, what's going on here? Who are you?
I like that his first instinct too is, be kind, I will give you offerings. Like, please don't hurt me. Like, which is the right reaction to have to a god.
Oh my gosh.
Because please don't hurt me.
But also, like, when he says he's Odysseus, like, Telemachus is like, no, you're not.
He's like, I call BS. There's no way you're my dad. I've never seen my dad.
But, like, Odysseus is like...
Oh, it's me, I'm your dad.
But he kind of acts a little incredulous. He's like, come on, like, I'm your dad.
He's like, come on. Is your papa?
The last time this person saw you, his memory wasn't even fully formed yet.
He has zero memories. He was a baby. Infantile amnesia, man. His first memories are from probably 3 or 4, which this man was not around for, so he has zero memories of Odysseus. All he has is stories and paintings.
How weird would that be? Like, it just makes... I feel like that makes the scene more poignant, but also a little more weird.
I will say,
because
yeah, I do love that is,
kind of almost immediately act like they've had years of him raising
right,
Telemachus.
right, which I will say, Epic does a really good job of kind of, having that as part of Telemachus's character, is that he has lived his life with this story of grandeur about his dad. Like, he's like, this guy is a myth. The myth, the man, the legend. Like, I've never known him. All I have are all these stories about how awesome he is, because everyone loves Odysseus. And so, like, all he has are these stories. He doesn't know this man. Um,
Yeah.
and I will say, I do love, though, when they do finally, like, he's like, you are my dad, and then they just cry, and they hug and they cry, and
They
I'm
do
like,
hug and cry.
stop it. And then the birds of prey, they cried out, shrilling cries, pulsing sharper than birds of prey, which we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
They're just so like, oh my god,
Mm-hmm.
we're back together, which, like,
Big reunion.
is a
Honestly,
good reunion.
it was actually a touching moment.
It
I
is
will
a
say.
really touching moment. The song, I Can't Help But Wonder, which is the second to last song of the Epic album, or the whole thing, that one made me cry. I was crying when I listened to that song, because they did a great job of that reunion.
You know
It's,
what song makes me cry?
huh?
You know what song makes me cry?
What?
So it's the first song on the album Yo-Yo Ma plays Ennio Morricone,
Yeah.
and he did the score for The Mission. And The Mission is one of those few movies that has ever made me full on sob.
Yeah.
I mean, what I think I've mentioned before, I'm not much of a crier.
Yeah.
And I'm and even though I'm freer with my feelings now,
Yeah.
especially when I watched The Mission, I was not. To the point where I was because I had to watch it for a class in college,
Mm-hmm.
and I watched it, and I was just sobbing at my desk in my room, and my roommates came in, and they thought something was horribly wrong because they had never seen me cry before.
Aww.
And I'm just like, it was just a good movie.
Yeah, I know of the movie. I have not seen it, though.
The first song in that album is the oboe score played on the cello by obviously Yo-Yo Ma. And when I first listened to it, I like kind of cried a little, like a few tears fell, and I can't listen to it without tearing up.
Aww.
I think my body just had a response of, oh, you're gonna cry.
Oh.
But it's one of my favorite albums. You should listen to it. It's so good. And I've watched a lot of I've actually seen quite a few movies that Ennio Morricone has scored, because I've also seen Once Upon a Time in the West and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Yeah.
And that's the really famous one where it goes.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Ecstasy of Gold.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is a great score.
It's a good movie.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie. I do love a good old Western. And Young Clint Eastwood.
It's the OG. It's the OG.
Yeah.
It's the I think it's really funny that one of the most recognizable Western movies was done by an Italian director. Yeah, because Sierra Leone was Italian, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. It's the spaghetti westerns.
All right.
Anyways, so
let's keep going.
Odysseus gets the rundown on how things are going.
Yeah.
And Telemachus is like, you have no idea how bad things are. And we had no idea how bad things are. I did not know that, like, over 100 people were courting his mom.
That's, like, a lot of dudes. Which makes sense why it's, like, hard to get them out. There's, like, an army.
Them.
It's a small army of men.
It's not just them. It's not just them. It's not just over 100 suitors.
Yeah.
And then there's slaves and armorers and
Mm-hmm.
servants, other servants that they brought with
Yeah.
them.
So it's a lot of people that you can't just be like, get out, you know? They've got
Do
power.
you know how much? And like this island is still standing,
Mm-hmm.
which goes to show how fruitful it is,
Mm-hmm.
how wealthy it is, and
And
it
how
could
the
sustain
and the stewards
these
take good care
horrible
of it.
people. This amount of people who are
Mm-hmm.
not working for this
Nope.
at all, they're
Just
just
taking.
sitting around.
Just taking up resources in space.
And it's like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
It really put things into perspective of how, oh, sucks.
Yeah.
This really sucks. This is worse than
Mm-hmm.
plundering. With plundering, at
Yeah.
least you go in, get out. You're probably like
Mm-hmm.
destitute, but at least they're gone.
Yeah. And then so then Odysseus is like, all right, here's the plan. I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna distract them. You're gonna steal all their shit and lock it away. Then we can attack them. Right? Just me and you.
It's a solid plan.
A real father son bonding moment.
It really is.
It really is.
And
Like, let's.
he goes, hey, if they ask why you're taking their weapons, just say, you know, they didn't. The fire is dulling them. They're not looking as shiny as they used
I
to.
need to go shine your weapons for you. This is really important. You wouldn't be caught dead with a dull set of armor and weapons, right? Nah.
Trying to court my mom.
You're trying to call my mom. You're gonna want some shiny armor
Wait,
and swords.
I have questions as to. I have lots of questions, actually, because it is later mentioned that, because we go back to the suitors who just found out that
They're
the ship bearing Telemachus
Yeah.
is back.
and
they're
that
like,
they
"Oh,
did
shit,
not
he's
kill
actually
him.
alive.
Like,
What do we do
crap.
now?"
Crap.
And Antinous is Antinous?
Antinous. That bitch.
Antinous is like, simple. We just go kill him again.
Yeah, we when he gets back, we kill him. We stab him.
And who is it that steps up? Who is it?
Amphinomus? Amphinomus? That guy.
Yeah, Amphinom. I'm also getting Amphinomus.
Yeah, and he's like, let's get Zeus's permission first. Let's see if Zeus thinks it's a good idea, and if he says yes, do it, I'll kill him. And if he says no, then we wait, and we don't kill him.
That's the correct answer.
Which, yeah, I mean,
Because Zeus doesn't want him to die, so that is
he
the correct
doesn't.
answer.
He doesn't. But also, like, that's quite a gamble, because what if Zeus had just been like, you know what, I don't really like Telemachus, let's kill him. Like,
It sucks to be him then.
yeah. But then the queen finds out, because she was listening, and she also got word from Memnon last time, and she busts in, she's like, I hate y'all. She tears into him.
I don't understand the courting system.
I don't either.
Because they're there for 3 years. They don't even talk to this woman. She's
No.
up in her room most of the time. And then, like, this is, like, one of the few times she's ever interacted with these men.
Yeah.
Like, I know marriage isn't based on love or connection at all in this time period. Women are literally just it says here, like, they are literally sold off to the highest bidder.
Yep.
So, but still, like, how long? How long?
Mm-hmm.
I'm so confused as to, like, the whole courting process here, because it was 3 years. Do you really need that? I mean, plot armor, I guess. But do you really need that much time to see who's the highest bidder? Or are they just, like, trying to outbid each other for 3 years?
They're just trying to outbid each other, I think, and waiting for her to make her final decision, which she's been putting off reasonably.
Wait, but she doesn't even make the decision.
Well,
Her
I
father
think
makes the decision.
technically, but I think they are respecting her as a queen, and so even though yes,
Are they? They're in her house.
I think I'm talking about her dad.
Wanting to kill his son.
I think her
That's not
dad.
respecting her as a queen.
No, her dad and her brothers are, because they could, yes, they could just be like, no, bye. But I think they're being decent people, which is rare for this time period. And so they're letting her
Um,
make her decision as a
well,
queen.
especially Eurymachus,
Yeah, Eurymachus.
Eurymachus.
That's what I'm
Um,
gonna say.
he's like, oh my goodness, because she comes down and is like, you tried to kill my son. Fuck you.
Which I will say, he is the highest on the the
He is.
roster right
Everyone
now.
thinks he's gonna be the one to get married.
Yeah.
He's only like he's. I forget if it says he is Telemachus's age, or if he's a few years older than.
I know
Telemachus.
Antinous is pretty young. I think
He's, he's like almost the same age.
Yeah, a
I
lot
think
of them
he's
are in
older.
their
He's
mid
almost the same
20s.
age, and he's trying to go after his mom. He
Yeah,
literally going after a woman who could be his mother.
and that's where we get mommy from. Anyway,
Oh my gosh!
he likes older women. Anyway, but he gaslights her.
Against him, and he's like, I'm so sorry about the rest of these guys, the rest of these losers who plotted your son's demise.
He's like,
I can assure you, I was against it.
I would never. In fact, I love your son. I think I'd be a great stepdad. It's so disgusting.
It's so gross. I'm so these characters, especially the suitors, are so
creepy,
just bombastically awful.
So bad. Swaggering, as Telemachus refers to them.
Oh my gosh, they're just so they're such caricatures of what awful is.
They really are. They are. Like
I'm ready to rage.
Like
honestly, like, we have 150 pages left of these men.
I can't wait to listen to them all die.
150 pages left of these men.
Maybe
100. Sorry, I think 100, because the chapter titled "Death in the Great Hall" is around page 400. So we have 100 more pages left of these men.
Mm-hmm. Oh, mine's also called Slaughter in the Hall. Huh.
Okay. So I'm interested to see what they do, what they say. It's probably going to be outrageous. We're probably going to bitch about it.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna listen to the song Odysseus on the Epic album, which is just Odysseus getting good revenge. It's a great song. It's really cathartic. Yeah, I'm gonna go listen to that.
Okay. I also think it's really funny. Okay, so the Oresteia, which hasn't been mentioned in a hot minute.
No, it hasn't.
Have you noticed?
We haven't talked about Agamemnon in a minute. Except when, actually, you know what? The Swineherd did mention Agamemnon. He did.
What?
He did. It was a while back when he said something about Helen. I didn't like it. Blah, 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 blah. How, yes, my king among them. Okay, I'm in book 14, line 80.
I see it. He did mention Agamemnon.
To save Agamemnon's honor.
After Hospitality in the Forest, we went 2 full chapters without someone mentioning Agamemnon.
It was pretty cool. They did that.
Okay, but what I think is interesting. So we have the Oresteia, which is Agamemnon's son, whose name I can't remember.
Orestes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Kills his mother and her lover because she killed his dad and his side piece.
Yeah.
And the whole point is that vengeance doesn't necessarily equal justice.
Yes.
But it's totally okay for Odysseus to slaughter a whole household of men who literally the most, I mean, they're pretty awful people.
Yeah.
But like, they're just bad house guests.
Yeah. But you
it's totally okay.
Okay, well, 1, being a bad house guest is a crime. And 2, I think you forget something really important. Odysseus is hot. He could do what he wants.
Orestes isn't hot.
They don't really remark about his appearance too much. It's not so much about him being hot, it's more about him getting revenge, and then also the Furies coming after him, and also his sister coming after him.
Really?
Yeah.
They don't spend at least a page describing how hot he is?
I will go look. I have a copy of it on my shelf. I'll go check it out, but I'm fairly certain I don't
I'm
recall
so
them talking about
surprised.
how hot he is. He's a young boy, right? He's like he's young, he doesn't
Yeah.
have the rugged Greek
Well,
appearance.
he's older than Telemachus, obviously, because he fought in the Trojan War.
Yes. Well,
So probably
yeah.
30s.
Yeah, probably like late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
But he ain't no Odysseus.
My experience with Greek tragedies
Yeah.
is Antigone,
Uh-huh.
Medea by
Yeah.
Euripides. That's a good one.
That is a good one.
You want female rage? You want feminine rage?
God, I love Medea. Yeah.
That is
Then-
feminine rage from the perspective. It is still from the perspective of a man, but that is feminine rage.
Yeah.
That is all women's wrongs. I mean, it's also Jason's wrong too.
Oh yeah.
But it's the consequences of his wrong. Anyways,
Yeah.
and now Homer. So granted, it is very limited, but all three of them do spend a good paragraph describing how hot people look.
Yeah. Like they were hot.
What happened? Are people just not as hot as they were?
Well,
back in the day?
I think, well, definitely within like the tragedies, they don't really dwell on people's hotness as much as they do in the epics. For obvious reasons, I
Well,
think.
to be fair, you don't need to be beautiful to die, but you do need to be beautiful in order to be mildly heroic.
Yeah, and also to do crime and get away with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty privileged.
Pretty privileged. Oh, for sure. And Odysseus has it in spades. Everyone's just like, dang, you're hot. We'll give you whatever. Anyway, that is pretty much the end of book 16. Telemachus is hanging out with the swineherd, and they're kind of like, it's like the very end.
Yeah, we only have 2 more sessions, like 2 more episodes.
2 more episodes of this, and then we are.
Okay, I'm gonna be very honest with you. I'm so ready for this book to be over.
So same.
Cause okay, so there's a book. It is a very short book. It is one of my favorite books, and I got my whole family to read it. I'm very proud of this fact. It's called Travels with Charlie by John Steinbeck. It's a nonfiction. It's John Steinbeck's reflections on his road. He went coast to coast on and back again. There and back again. Hobbit sale. With his standard poodle, Charlie. And there's even a picture of his standard poodle, Charlie, with John Steinbeck. And there's a point in the book where he's traveling and he remarks, obviously I can't quote it from memory and I'm not nearly as eloquent as John Steinbeck, but essentially there's a point in the journey where you're just ready to go home. Like the journey itself is over and now you are traveling to get home.
Yeah.
So there's like the difference, it's this distinction between just traveling to get somewhere and the journey. And so the journey's done in my mind. So now it's like, it's time to like wrap this up.
Yeah.
You should read it. It's like, it's such a, even though it was written in the 60s, it's such a relevant view of America and the American people. And it's so good. John Steinbeck is just such a great writer.
I've only read The Grapes of Wrath and I hated it, so I know he is.
Yeah, I actually am going to read The Grapes of Wrath. I want to soon.
I do have East of Eden on my TBR.
Oh my gosh. Dude, East of Eden made me cry.
I've heard good things.
It's so good. And I read it when I was in Monterey, so I actually knew where he was talking about. Because it's a story. There are parts in it that are semi-autobiographical, which is interesting.
Mhm.
But he explores what John Steinbeck explores a lot is the Cain and Abel story,
Yeah.
and not just how it not just in like the Christian tradition, but just he was such an observer. He was such an acute observer of human nature, and just the way he was able to articulate it is so good. I love his writing.
Yeah.
I did not start with Grapes of Wrath, and maybe that's why I have this feeling towards John Steinbeck as an author, is because I did not read Grapes of Wrath.
Yeah,
And
it's
instead, just jumped straight to East of Eden, and then found Travels with Charlie was such a random find, and it like changed my life. It was so good, and it was right when I came home from my Odyssey, if you will, because I road tripped back from Monterey to California to Ohio, and it took me 5 days. And there was a point in the journey when I was driving with my mom, and we crossed the Midwestern border. Essentially, we crossed into Missouri.
Yeah.
And it was like we both felt it. We both felt it. Like we weren't journeying anymore. It was like, oh yeah, now it's just a grind to get home.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that.
Anyways, speaking of the grind to get home, the next books to read are books. So book 17 to book 20.
Yeah, that's
or so pretty much either way, one of these sections is going to have a bit more than 75 pages. So we can either do book 17 to 20 the first week and then finish the book the second week.
Yeah.
Or we can read from book 17 to book 21 and then finish the book. I have a feeling you're going to want to do book 17 to 20, though.
17 to 20 for sure.
Okay.
Makes more sense to me.
Cool.
Okay.
I feel like we talked a lot about not a lot happening.
Yeah, we went on a lot of different tirades. But it was good. It was good. I'm very, very drowsy now from my Benadryl. And Nico wants to cuddle. He's on my lap now.
I unfortunately have not been getting bad allergies. There was like a little moment when we were having a bunch of wind storms because the wind pollinated plants were like blowing their pollen all over the place. But now that things have kind of quieted down, it's like a little better for me.
I think it's because I'm close to a national park. And there's a lot of trees and a lot of like arboretums and stuff up here. There's just a lot more pollen than there was back home.
I live near a wooded area, but you know, the thing about central Ohio suburbs, it's like, oh, you see that little patch of trees? You know that nice little patch of tree right there?
Yeah.
It's not making money for us, so let's tear it down and build another pointless chain.
Yeah.
It annoys the heck out of me.
All right, Nico wants me to get up and carry him around because he's a little baby prince. He's my little prince.
Okay.
All right.
Have a great evening.
Yeah.
And I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yep, everyone.
For our second to last
episode. All right.
Odyssey.
Have fun, everyone, and happy reading. Goodbye.
Bye.
Okay, it's over. It's done.